Welcome to the I'll Think About It podcast. Nothing is off limits in this space because we are interested and curious about everything. Join us for a thoughtful journey into the heart of the deep issues of our day with a few laughs along the way. Let's do this. Welcome to the I'll Think About It podcast, brought to you by Aaron and...
Aaron, nice to see you today. Thank you for being here. And we're here today. We're on camera, which we've done this podcast just over audio for the past year. And we thought we'd try something different. And we're here in this beautiful location. And we're on camera.
Which is my backyard, by the way.
He lives here. It's gorgeous. We're on a deck.
Yes. Very lucky.
Facing the elements, though. There's some wind.
Got a little wind. We got a little sun.
But it makes it fun. So
We got some wind chimes, dogs barking.
barking.
And unfortunately, this time of year in California, we have a mosquito. So did you know that we've had a mosquito, like a massive mosquito problem this year? It's been in the papers and stuff.
Yes, I've already been bitten. So we just we actually, between takes, we covered our bodies in DEET.
Right.
So,
which shockingly works. But
you know, DEET is the only thing that works. Actually, there's some smoky things you can blow too that actually are effective. So. Yeah.
But did you know that these mosquitoes, now, people understand that, and I didn't mean to roll right into a topic like this, but this is how we do it.
No, this is true. Yeah,
but,
this is how we do it.
Here in Southern California, it's pretty dry. So we really don't have mosquito problem unless you're in a certain area where there's a lot of water.
Yeah, we're not considered buggy compared to other areas of the United States.
We have very few insect problems except for termites.
Yeah.
But mosquitoes have not, and where we live here, has not been a problem.
No.
But this year, oh my gosh. And these are not the mosquitoes that I remember from back east. Like when I was in Maine, the mosquitoes were large.
Carry you off kind of mosquitoes? Yeah, I've heard about those before. Those aren't normally here.
These things are tiny. And somebody told me they call them ankle biters. Remember how you were complaining?
Yeah, you can't. I
did. They're so
did.
teeny.
I actually have been someone who doesn't normally get bitten by mosquitoes. And now I have been coming home and all of a sudden I've got red dots all over my legs. And I'm like, what is this? And it's a mosquito bite, which I went for, this is true. I went for years without ever having a mosquito bite. Where everyone around me
was
bitten. Okay. And then I didn't have any bites. I never even saw a mosquito.
Aaron's special.
I was special. I thought I was, but I'm not special anymore. I'm getting attacked.
That specialness is long gone.
Yes. Okay. So we're just.
But anyway, we are in the elements.
We're in the elements, and we're giving you an idea of who we are, right? This is us.
So, we've known each other for what, 20-something years?
23 years. Yes. Quite a while.
I remember you before the kids were born.
Yes.
Right after you got married.
Yes. We met right after we got married.
Yeah. So that was.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's been a long time.
They call that PK.
What's PK?
Pre-kid.
Oh.
Pre-kid,
I didn't know about PK.
PK, yeah. And then now my kids are growing up. I have a son in college. And yeah.
One getting close.
One getting close.
Yeah.
And so now here we are, sort of taking our natural conversation that we always have to another platform. And that's why we're here today. Thought that would be fun.
And we're doing video. Why?
Just to, really test the limits of your tech skills.
I thought, but also, didn't you say that there had been requests?
There were. Yes.
Which I was surprised by because I don't really watch video podcasts myself.
I actually don't, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
The one thing about YouTube, and we're also going to be on Rumble. So that's something to think about.
Yeah,
on both platforms.
And if not something else too.
And if not something else.
Minimally those.
Exactly. But I know on YouTube, I'm not quite sure on Rumble, but YouTube does caption everything for you. And so a lot of people maybe like to have the volume down and they'll just be reading it, sort of have it on their screen in their office or something. So it's an easy way.
Right.
It's an easy way to watch a podcast because you can just have it captioned where you don't really have audio podcast captioned in the same way. So, yeah.
So, this is kind of a exciting new journey.
Yes.
I will say, for those who have not done a video podcast before as a quote unquote creator, which I hate that term, but, it's a challenge because here we have a 3-camera setup. We have the wide angle shot, and then Aaron, I have a close up. Aaron has a close up, and to get all that working, and then your sound and the lighting, this is non-trivial. I don't think people
Non-trivial.
understand.
I don't think they understand either. I didn't actually understand when I suggested it. I don't know
Well,
if I would have suggested.
See, when you suggested that, and I immediately went, "Oh no, she has no idea what this is going to involve."
I was just an ignorant, just la la land. I was.
Part of it too is me, because if I do something like this,
he's got to do it really well.
I want it to be at least a minimum level of good. I don't want for this to be a substandard production. I'm not saying this is going to be,
Well, I mean, like you're
the most amazing
don't
thing.
oversell us.
Right, exactly. This is not the most amazing production by any means, but I definitely don't want anybody to look at it and think, oh, that is off, or that's wrong.
We don't want
or
that.
something.
No.
And definitely not on the audio side either.
Exactly.
Which I did see some, of course, doing research on video podcasting. I did see a number of people said the audio is usually the point at which beginners fail first.
Okay.
It's not the video side. It's usually the audio side. And I'd like to think that that's the side that I'm stronger at because of my background.
We've heard that. I've heard that from people that we sound good.
That said, this environment here is not ideal acoustically, but I think it'll be okay.
We're gonna make it work.
I think it'll be okay.
I've listened to some podcasts from actually some people that are quite
well known,
famous, and it sounded like they were talking at the end of like a tube. Yeah. It was that bad, and their podcast has been going. And I said, well, somebody's listening to this podcast that I actually had to bail out.
You couldn't handle the audio.
I couldn't handle it. I love the content. I had to bail out because I'm like, it sounds like he's calling on a long distance phone.
Yeah.
Back in like 1985.
Right.
And so I had to give up.
Yeah. So hopefully we're not going to elicit that kind of response in any of our viewers here or our listeners. Now, and also we are intending on this to be also done in an audio only format.
Correct.
So
yes.
It won't, it's not, this is not exclusively video.
No.
There will be an audio version of this.
I listen to some of the podcasts I listen to currently I listen to them only on audio through like Apple Podcasts. Right. But they are actually video podcasts. Well, yeah. Yes. So
I think that's becoming more and more common.
Well, just different mediums appeal to different people.
Yeah.
And so you want to offer the options for what people how they like to
and
get their news.
You are engaging another sense with the video, right?
Yes.
The visual. And there is something to be said. I do like, if I'm going to really focus on something, watching people talk. Also, I mean, there's a reason why when we would watch the news, we didn't just listen to it.
No.
We usually would watch it because you could see the facial expressions.
Well, also, don't you want to see what we look like?
Well,
and see us interact together? That's fun.
Fortunately, Erin's the pretty one. Yes, yeah.
I try.
She tries.
Yes.
So that's kind of our background and our little intro to doing a video version of the podcast, and hopefully you enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next topic, our first topic,
our first and only topic,
for our little intro here.
We want to give a little taste of some of the fun stuff that we're going to work on. Sometimes we do deep dives into things, which we've done in the past. We did an incredible episode. If you haven't seen it, on homelessness, urge you to go back and look at that.
Ourselves.
If we do say so ourselves, it's been our most popular episode. And then right after that was we did an episode on relationships during COVID.
Right.
And we explored just how our relationships were affected over that multi-year period.
Kind of a lot of COVID ancillary issues.
Yeah.
Which is hard to avoid, right?
It's hard to avoid, yeah. What were the side effects of families just dividing on how they were going to vaccinate versus not vaccinate? Were you going to let someone in your house for Thanksgiving? Being defriended. Yeah, it was really, there was so much tension. So that was our second most popular podcast. So
we did one on guns. Anyway, we've done a number of semi-serious topics, but we always mix in some fun stuff.
Yes.
Some movie reviews.
We love our movie reviews. But we're gonna play with some different things. Some days we might just run through some newsy type things, and then some days we might have a really like a deep topic that we've spent some time researching and be ready to kind of go deep with you. So,
hopefully it'll be stuff that is basically interesting
Yeah.
to the viewer and the listener.
It's interesting to us.
If it interests us, it'll interest you.
Yeah. We'll find our people.
Yeah, we'll find our peeps. It's never been a problem in the past.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. Okay, what's
All right. So this here is just a fun little story from the Daily Mail. So this is a British story. And the headline reads, "Now marshals are being brought in to police charge rage between electric vehicle drivers. The boss of Britain's biggest motorway services reveals long waits for plug-in points are making motorists angry and stressed."
This is really funny. You actually, I do have to say, he skipped over a word.
The British word rouse.
The British word rouse actually makes this tongue twister of a headline even funnier.
I know. Charge, rage, rouse.
They're like, yeah, they've got.
But for the American audience who does not know the word row,
it's a fight.
Basically fights,
Yes.
yeah. I don't think Americans ever use that word.
We had a row.
Yeah, you never hear that.
No, if someone said that, you would be like,
yeah, like, where have you been? But
Okay.
obviously, it's not an uncommon word on the other side of the pond. In any case, this is a fun story to me, or a funny story to me, because it's another example of unintended consequences. And when the government or large entities make sweeping changes, they are never prepared for the ancillary problems
unintended consequences
that will
like
come from
rows.
that. Well, yeah, like people fighting because there's not enough charging stations. So in England, especially, but I think probably in Scotland too, but at least in England and in London especially, they have all these car restrictions, and you have to pay a tax to go into the city if you have a gas-powered car.
We were just in Edinburgh this past spring, and our taxi drivers were explaining to us all of the car restrictions, and it's getting tighter and tighter. I don't know exactly. We don't live over there, so I don't know the exact rules, but they are tightening the restrictions, and they are taxed. They do have to have permits to get into the city, but they are working towards a point where you only can have electric in the city. That's the end game.
Well, here in California, was it 2030? I think they're supposedly not going to sell any gas-powered cars in the state of California.
Well, they won't sell new cars, they're not banning current cars.
No, they won't ban current cars, but listen, I don't think it's not going to happen here. The grid can't support it. They're not doing anything to expand the grid. That would be.
It's like silly.
I mean, how many?
We have a lot in our area.
Yeah, this is like the Tesla capital.
We have of Orange County, California. Yeah. I don't know where I actually would like to see a demographic on where all the Teslas are, because I would not be surprised.
The Bay Area, Orange County.
Yes.
I don't know where else, but
yes.
Yeah.
I have to say I know someone who just moved from Orange County up to Spokane area, Washington, and they have a Tesla. This person has a Tesla, and the charging station is 30 minutes from the house.
From their house, yeah.
Yes, and so.
But they don't have a house, right? Because they can't charge because they live in an apartment.
It's an apartment, so
right.
So in order to charge the Tesla, you have to drive 30 minutes to go get the things charged.
So crazy.
So that's a very good example of you're trying to push these electric cars and you have no infrastructure to support them. Yeah. So back to this article.
Yeah. So here these people are getting in fights because there aren't enough charging stations.
And it's worse than a fight. It's charge rage. Like, what does that even look
like? Road rage, right?
Yeah.
But now people are basically raging because you can imagine this, right? Oh, I was next in line, right? No, I was next in line. You can imagine this back and forth that goes on.
Oh, yeah.
And these people, these rapid chargers still take, I don't know, what, 20,
I have no idea.
30 minutes or something?
I don't know anything about it.
It's way longer than just filling up gasoline with your car. So when you've been waiting and somebody jumps in front of you, or you think you're next, or you're more important because, I don't know, you're on the way to the hospital because
I was just going to say your wife's in labor.
I was just going to say that. That's so funny.
But I mean, you can always come up with a reason why you should be first in line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the other person is going to think that they're, more important, their problem, or they're just, I was next, which is understandable. So this is madness. This is what happens when you don't allow these things to organically grow. If electrical vehicles are so great and so wonderful, the government should not be needing to mandate this.
No,
It will happen organically.
The market will determine. It will just grow on its own.
People would be like, "Oh my gosh, cars! These are the most amazing things ever."
What do we have? Like the Tesla, and I've seen a lot of Rivians in our area too.
Yeah, but that Rivian, I don't know, man.
I like the way the Rivian looks. I don't love the
it's
truck,
not the way
but
it
I love the
looks.
SUV.
Just the truck, an electric vehicle truck. There's a lot of physics problems making a truck work as an electric vehicle.
Well, apparently Rivian is.
I know that
Rivian. I just read an article. They are losing about $33,000
on every vehicle.
On
right?
every vehicle.
I think Ford is losing money on every vehicle, and there's YouTube videos. I ran across this a couple weeks ago. There's a guy who goes around all of the car dealership lots, and he shows all of the electrical vehicles that are just sitting there and the prices. And then he compares the prices between like a Ford F-150 electrical version versus the gas-powered version. And the electrical versions are way more expensive. It's like over $100,000 for a top-spec F-150 electrical vehicle. That's insane. Not only that, the range is less. The power, the tone.
How do you go on a... Well, okay, what about a diesel truck compared to an electric truck? Like, why would you even, not even comparable?
They're not comparable.
They can go.
This is why this notion that the transportation infrastructure will be replaced with electrical that is madness. That is never going to happen, at least not in our lifetime.
No.
The technology is not there, okay? A diesel-powered 18-wheeler can go... I don't know what the range is, but it's massive.
Yes.
And their towing capacity is obviously massive. You cannot put an electrical vehicle to do that. It's not actually possible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that those diesel engines can go for years.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So the actual engine itself,
servicing.
Yes. The engines themselves can last probably decades, to be honest with you.
Yes.
If they're properly managed or
Correct.
maintained, they last a really long time. Obviously, these truckers put on hundreds and hundreds, millions of miles on these vehicles and on these engines. And to your point, an electrical vehicle, you do have a kind of a power plant, a kind of a transmission, they're not quite the same. But the fundamental issue is the batteries. And when they're done, they're done. And
we've
and now you have this disposal of highly toxic lithium. You've got
the mining of the rare earths, which it's just atrocious.
This topic is, nobody wants to talk about these things, or at least I shouldn't say that. The people that are huge proponents of pushing this stuff, I don't know that they've really looked at or they fully understand the costs involved with transitioning to fully electric vehicles.
I actually think that they know and they don't care. I think that they know.
Wait a minute. I'm supposed to be the cynical one.
No, I really do. How do you not know that mining for rare earths is terrible?
I think a lot of them don't
How do you
know that.
not know that you cannot dispose of a lithium battery? How do you not know that? If you are in the industry, you know.
Oh, well, the manufacturers know.
But all the
think the
activists.
consumers.
I'm talking about the activists.
I don't think I don't know, because they're just Mother Earth and carbon, which by the way is not a toxin. It's not toxic. You breathe it in every single day of your life. In fact, if there wasn't carbon dioxide, you would be dead. Okay. They've decided that that's the toxic gas that is poisoning the planet. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually listed as a poisonous gas in some of these green legislation stuff. It is not poisonous. As a matter of fact, when carbon dioxide levels go up, guess what happens? More plants, more greenery on the earth. We know this because the fossil record shows this to us. And if I'm not mistaken, as the earth has warmed a half a degree or whatever the past few decades, the total amount of greenery or plant material has gone up. So, this notion that we have to use electric vehicles because carbon dioxide is somehow a toxic, poisonous gas that is going to create a runaway greenhouse effect is insanity to me. So, but now emissions somehow magically turned into carbon as being the problem.
Well, I mean,
And that
isn't
is
everyone looking at your carbon footprint?
right?
Yeah.
It's like what,
You go and you can
we're
get
carbon-based animals.
when you get your, like, even your airline tickets and stuff like that, they'll tell you how much carbon, or if you're renting a car, what your carbon footprint's going to be.
Oh yeah, and
it's like,
did you see the Apple ad that came out recently?
Yeah.
And it's all about Mother Earth supposedly visits us. I would say Steve Jobs. What's his name? Whoever the CEO is now of Apple.
Oh gosh,
and
I don't remember his
they
name.
have like a boardroom meeting, and she of course is a woman of color. Make sure we get all those, and all the people on the board are all, it's all quota driven. But anyway,
but it's
the
so
whole thing is
pagan too. It's very pagan.
Well, yes, there is
I mean,
a pagan element
I'm
to it.
sorry.
But the whole thing is that I wish I could remember his name, the CEO. But anyway, he's there and he acts like this total beta male to quote unquote Mother Earth, and then he says that they are going to be carbon neutral.
Tim Cook.
Thank you.
Cook,
Tim
yeah.
Cook says they're going to be carbon neutral. And it's, first of all, the ad, if you haven't seen it, I hate to say watch it because it boosts it, but it's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's almost like you should see it to see how
much
crazy.
pandering.
But you got to see how crazy
it's
corporate America
crazy.
has gotten.
Yeah.
It's a really good, it's like that's an education.
Yeah.
And yes, they're trying to be funny on a certain level, but the insanity is
Are
so
they,
much
though?
deeper. No, they are. There is a humor element to it.
No,
And
there is a humor element, but it's based on they're basing their entire humor on something that they think actually is real.
yes, correct.
Where they do actually are the people that are part of this environmentalist religion do actually look to Mother Earth
Right.
as a sort of deity that's running the show.
Right. Yeah. Well, the environmentalism is a religious movement.
It absolutely
right?
is, and Mother Earth is the God.
The adherents of environmentalism
Yeah.
are often not interested in data or science, or they're extremely choosy with their notion of what is data and science to perpetuate their worldview.
Well, bringing that full circle back to the cars, they're choosy of they will let certain data go, and in favor of other data.
Yeah,
for example,
the
we don't
toxins of lithium in disposal,
or we don't have enough charging stations.
Yeah, right. And by the way,
and then we're getting everyone angry at each other.
where does the electricity come from that charges the cars?
Well, coal-fired or
right, which is all carbon.
yes. Or in some cases, I mean, we could come off a nuclear, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. The only, I believe France is the only Western democracy that is mostly nuclear driven.
Okay.
And that was a choice of theirs decades ago to become primarily a nuclear powered, which again, to the point of the grid can't support what they're trying to do. They've actually removed capacity. They've removed, they're trying to remove coal and oil power plants and replace them with wind and so it's
well, and that goes. I mean, in a prior episode, we talked about the whales.
Oh, that's right. The whales.
Talked about the whales.
Yeah. So there seems to be a relation, a correlation.
Yes.
Of whale beaching in proximity to offshore wind farms.
Yes.
And I posited, would the greenies be willing to sacrifice the whales?
What's a greenie to do?
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
Well, but remember the whale were always, I think, like the whale was the symbol of the environmentalist movement.
Absolutely. So do we have carbon?
But now,
whales?
Are they willing to sacrifice the whales?
I'd say save the whales is what I say.
That's what I say
Save
too.
the whales.
Save the whales.
Save the
All
whales.
Right, well, that's probably enough.
Yeah. Okay. We're done.
But anyway, that's just a little taste of what it's like to spend a little time with Aaron and Aaron.
Yes.
On the
Thank you for joining
I'll
us.
Think About It podcast.
Yeah. Thank you, and bye-bye.
See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you for listening to the I'll Think About It podcast. We hope we've given you something to think about. Please share us with your friends and on your social media. Goodbye for now.